Thank you. So, yeah, we are going to talk about how to prepare for interviews, right? And what you should expect when you go for interviews. So this is going to be the focus for tonight. So, and interview could be in different forms. You could have interview in as a telephone chat or telephone call or telephone conversation, whatever you call it. Yeah, it's going to come through a telephone, right? So, and there's another one, it's called online telephone, online interview will mean that they send a link to you and you would then maybe it's a Teams call or a Zoom call or yeah. So they'll send a link to you, book a time, and then you would then go in and attend that meeting, or they will invite you to come physically to the office so that you can show your face. So, and the content is the same, right? But the mode might be different, okay? For a telephone call, yeah, sometimes they might fix a time for them to call. Most often, telephone call might not be more than maybe half an hour max. So, but technically, they are always short, actually. It might be 15 or 10 or 5 minutes, right? So telephone interview is kind of like a quick call to screen some people out of the recruitment process. So it's not going to be long, right? So that's where you need to get ready. You need to, so I remember telling people, yeah, when you are making call or having this telephone call, because they are not seeing your face, right? So you need to smile. Actually, it sometimes shows from how you speak as well. Anyway, so be confident as well, speak boldly. Yeah, and it's very, very important because they will not see the expression on your face. And sometimes I will know people that are not confident might not be able to pick the call. Don't be like that, okay? Pick the calls, okay? Pick the call, speak whatever you want to say, talk about what you learned. So the more you pick the calls, the more confident you become. Actually, it builds confidence in you. It's very, very important. And most of the interview will start with a telephone call, whether from the agency or from the recruiter. But just know that, yeah, it might start with a telephone call. Okay. So for online, yeah, they might ask you to show your face. Even if they do not ask you to show your face, prepare to show your face and indeed do show your face. Okay. This is very, very important. So if you do have time, I intend to keep this particular meeting open every Thursday for as many people as possible, whether you are in the internship or you are not in the internship. I think going forward, we're going to do that. So as many people that are interested, you are going for interview, and even if you are already out or you have friends that are preparing for interview, ask them to join this session. We're going to talk about different things about job applications. So it's going to be, yeah, career surgery every time. So yeah, so do join. So yeah, so the online one, we're going to have a session about online interviews because it's very, very important. Where I'm also be on camera as well. So because the angle of our camera is very, very important. How bold, how yeah. So I remember I did an interview. I know this person is actually reading, even from the yeah, from the screen. So even if you are reading, read smartly, right? And unfortunately, for some of us that are using glasses, you need to also watch it as well, right? Because when you are doing interview and you got your microchips right in front of you reading, right? And people that are using glasses and you have reflection of what you are reading in your glasses that the interviewer can see that reflection, then it doesn't, it's not so good, right? So we're going to talk about that. How do you prevent that, right? Because, yeah, I would say that when you go for interview, also the online interview, get prepared, but also have your documents as well on your screen. And we also will talk about how to divide your screen into different sections. Do you get it now? It's going to be really interesting. I'll keep this meeting open anyway. So you would need to know how you can keep your screen in different yeah, you can divide the screen anyway. Yeah, how can you divide the screen into 2, 4, or even have multiple screens also? And also, when you do have that and you have different screens, or you have different windows open, so and you need to know the angle of your neck, or how you, yeah, so because one way or the other, you are facing the camera. Yeah, that is where the Teams or the Zoom or whatever the uh, window that you are using for the video is. But you have another window on the side, right, where your cheat sheet is, right, where you have everything, your CV, or you also have ChatGPT opened, and you are kind of, yeah, turning your head, right. Then technically they know that you are spying on something. So you also need to know that as well. This is very, very important. So we'll have one session about how to cheat in online interviews without being caught, right? So that's one thing is very, very important, because yeah, so so that you are not caught right there in the act. So for physical interview, that is a bit tricky, right? So you would prepare a lot, actually. So because once you are there, right, you are all by yourself. Yeah. So what you need is your residual knowledge of what you've learned, what you experienced, and yourself, actually, right? You need those things. So before then, you need to prepare. Okay, you need to prepare. You need to know what you need to know. Those are very, very important. Okay, and this is reason for this session. This is reason why we are doing this. So now let's go to preparation, right? When I do this session, I tell people interview is in 3 forms, right? And it's like when you are writing uh, an essay, right, in school, they say introduction, body, and conclusion. When I go for interviews, to be honest, and I've done a lot, actually, by the nature of my job, because I do like contracting. So yeah, even sometimes when I don't want to pick the job, I still go for the interviews as well anyway. So I advise, so even if you're not looking, apply, go for interview. Interview is another experience on its own anyway. Okay, doesn't mean, because someone asked me I think a few weeks ago, what if they offer me a role and I don't want to take it? It's not, you're not bound to take a job that you don't want to take anyway. So yeah, you're free to say I don't want this particular job. And in fact, I have also kind of done that. I will share experience with you later when time permits, right? How I turned down a job offer from World Bank, actually, so which is a very big role anyway. So that would be another talk for another day anyway. So and yeah, so talking about that now, introduction, okay. So yeah, you need to research, okay, information about the interviewers, right? Look up on their LinkedIn, okay? So if John Paul is doing the interview, search for John Paul on LinkedIn, right? So, and I think it's okay, because some people say, out of if they know that I was checking their profile, I think it's fine, because it just shows that you are doing your research, because this information is useful for you, right? Because let's say John Paul has been in the company for 10 years, right? 10 years is a long time, right? That means the company is good. And if they can retain John Paul for 10 years, right? So on even during the interview, you could ask, oh, John, I looked you up on LinkedIn. I found that you've been at this company for 10 years. What actually made you to stay? What do you enjoy when you wake up in the morning that makes you, yeah, well, yeah, if I'm going to be in this company for the next 10 years, what are the tips that you need to give to me for me to be able to, because I want to be here like you. So what are it's basically now the person will be interested, right, to share that success story with him. Could you imagine that maybe in there he's got a boss as well? It's another thing for him to brag, to say, yeah, I've been doing my job very well. I've been doing this and that's, yeah, do you get? So, John Paul has just been promoted, right, from a junior DA to a senior DA, right? So, or from a DA to a DA manager, something like that. And he checked, and when he checked his experience, you found out he's just been promoted or he promoted last month. You can also bring that conversation also during the interview to say, oh, John, I found that you were promoted. What are the things that you do that makes you promoted that I also, when I come into this particular role, I need to do because I want to aspire to be like you as well. So what do you think I should do, right? So, or for a role like myself, what exactly do you think is a success criteria within your company? Do you get it now? It's very, very important. So as you can see, so also, you would also get that experience, okay? So let's say for John Paul, right? John Paul is a software tester, for instance, right? But John Paul is always on manual, right? So that means John Paul will be talking about manual testing. Do you get it now? And if John Paul talk about automation and he has not worked in automation, that means he would only be using script, right? That means you can easily bombard him and say, oh, blah, 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 blah. Well, because John Paul is only checking the answer on the script, right? So because he's a manual tester. But if eventually, let's say John Paul is an automation tester, right? And that means you need to prepare for automation testing questions because John Paul will ask that is an automation tester. And also, you need to know the tool that John Paul is used to because that might be what he also will ask about. Yeah. But if John Paul is a project manager, right, he will not ask you technical questions. Yeah, he will ask you, yeah, maybe things about agile, how you've worked on that, about projects, how you your traits. That's what he's going to ask. So that's where it's very, very important to do your research about the interviewers. Okay. And also, even some of them also put their personal interests on the field, right? I've gone for interviews. Some people also check me out as well, and they say, "Oh, I learned to do Blue Sky. You are in part." And they, because of course, my face will lighten up, and they okay, this person, and they say, "Oh, I also do this. I also do that." Then even that might take 5 minutes of the time for us to start discussing common interests. Do you get it now? And if something I'm passionate about, I want to know if the person also knows about that. Yeah. So those are the things that you need to look into. If John Paul is into cars or into sports or into community impact on something like that. So sometimes they will put some articles in there based on their interests. You also want to know their interests as well. It's very, very important. Okay. And the next thing that you also want to give is first impression. Of course, they say it lasts forever, right? But at least even for that particular time, it would really, really, really last. Okay. So give a bold impression. For instance, this impression actually differs based on the mode of the interview, right? It's different from telephone interview, it's different from online interviews. So telephone interview, your first expression is how you greet, right? And yeah, hello, this is JG. And you don't say, hello, who are you? You say, hello. Yeah. So, may I help you? Yeah. Good morning, JG. Okay. Good morning. How are you? I'm very well. Oh, hope you're good. I'm very good. Thank you. Hope you're good as well. Hope you're good. How are you doing? Yeah. So basically, courtesy, okay, for telephone interviews, right? So, but online is a different thing. The fact that you attend early, right? Getting there like 10 minutes before the time, waiting, because sometimes IT or on your laptop could behave differently, or you are trying to connect to Teams, it's just loading, connecting, internet is be misbehaving. I would say, yeah, make sure that you try as much as possible to log in as early as possible. Yeah. 15 minutes before the time you try to get in touch, and also try to connect. Sometimes they will see that someone logged in, right? But of course they will not come into the meeting because they wait until the time, but they will get an email that this person is in the waiting room, right? So that is a first impression, right? That you came early, right? But don't come in half an hour before the time, okay? Anything after 15 minutes, or let's say 14, so that is still okay. 10 minutes, what I can advise, okay, but not less than 5 minutes anyway. So that's one thing. So that is a first impression that you create, okay? Then after that, when the meeting starts, a polite smile, okay, and greeting as well, also. And okay, another thing, whether it's online or physical, right? Your mode of dressing is another impression, okay? I might not be able to cover this at length, but I think I will take my time on this anyway, because I think it's really, really good to dwell on each section, okay? So yeah, in terms of your dressing, right? I say first impression, your dressing is part of it, right? I remember part was, if I say part, I'm talking about my wife anyway. She was even mentoring someone, right? Going for an interview, right? You know, the fact that you're a Christian doesn't mean you dress shabbily to interviews, isn't it? So yeah, so don't go on interview with scarf or something like that. Make sure that you dress smartly, and also know the mode of the interview, the dressing mode for the interview. Some of them will say smart casual, or some of them will say was a formal wear. Even if they did not say, ask the interviewer or the agency that sent the invitation to you, what is it dress mode? And even if you don't know, right, dress formally, okay? Put a shirt on, a tie, and a suit, okay? Even if it's online, do so as well. Put your shirt, a tie, and a suit. For ladies, your blouse, a formal wear, actually, right? It's very, very important, okay? Have a clean cut, a clean shave, and also women, okay, you know what I mean. Dress, for the office and for the occasion. So then also you might also be attending an interview, then you dress formally, right? And then this person comes on the interview, right? Whether physically or online. I will tell you what has happened to me, which I think is a good thing. So I went for this interview. I think some of these interviews actually dress suit on, yeah. And then the person came to me, was like dressed in jeans, uh, just with a shirt on, and sometimes they might even put a t-shirt and everything. We're like, oh, okay. So, and it was even on one online like that. I said, oh, I think dressed um I've overdressed for this party. So, John, sorry, let's use this particular John. I've overdressed for this party. Do you mind I remove this tie so I can actually blend in with you, because it seems your dress code is casual. Is that okay? And he will say, oh, okay, that's fine. So what happens in that situation? It makes you to be less tense, right? And you also use that time also even to have a rapport with the interviewer, okay? Another thing also that also means you've also read the room. Do you get it now? It means that you are observant, you've seen something that technically is wrong, and you've kind of pointed out to say, okay, yeah, I've overdressed. Can I dress down because of that? And sometimes even like I say, oh, do you mind if I lose this tie? I said, yes, that's fine. You can, I'll remove it, okay? And sometimes, okay, we joking, okay. And also, even do you mind I remove the suit as well? So that's, and you can say yes, that's fine. So even physical interview, I had to remove my tie and say okay, and I loosen up and I say So let's start now. Do you get it? Just make you to kind of um not be under pressure. It's very, very important. So please, as I'm going along, if you do have any questions, so put it in the chat. It's very, very important. Okay. So we'll be checking on the chat as well. So, okay. So first impression, they last forever. So it's very, very important. And also in terms of the physical interviews, right, where you're going to meet people, ensure, okay, all right, let me go back. Okay, so they will shake your hand, okay? And I know where we come from, right? When you shake your hand, shake people's hands, you don't look, you might not want to look them in the face. Yeah, as we have been taught before, it's a sign of disrespect, but it's not the case, to be honest. Look them right into the eyes, okay? Right there, actually, and have a firm handshake. I mean, firm, a strong one, right? Even if you're a man or woman, you need to have a firm, because that also sends a signal that you are confident as well. Okay. So not a lame handshake. Okay. Firm handshake, look into the eye and grip. Okay. So it's very, very important. Okay. And yeah, politely also say thank you for inviting me for this interview. I really appreciate it. So, and yeah, so, and you would, yeah, create that impression going forward. And also they might ask you for, do you want tea, coffee, or something? If you don't want, politely reject. But sometimes I do advise that you take it, okay? Even if you are not going to drink it, sometimes, yeah. For some of us, we like to kind of use our hands. So maybe the water is another thing to hold, so that you don't just continue to throw your hand everywhere, and when you are kind of get carried away. Okay, so when you hold the water, it actually controls your arm, right? Don't just throw it, anyway, right? Anyhow, right? So that's very, very important. Okay, so okay, all right, cool. Let's move forward. So in terms of preparation, introduction about the interview. About you need to know about yourself. So when I do this session, we're going to have another session about mind map. Okay, so what is mind map? Okay, how do you use it? All right, it's a tool that I always use, to be honest, and I can tell you I've never seen anyone use this before, and it's something I actually create for myself, and I've been using it for the internship as well, and also when I come to the session. So basically the reason is like some of us, we are picture-oriented human being, right? That's why you can see most of the application out there are picture enabled, right? Facebook, even Twitter, when it first started, was only what's it called? Only text. Now they know that they cannot make the name if they don't put images, right? Images sometimes carries a lot. Okay, so mind map is basically putting yourself as a picture in a picture mode, right? That when you go for interview, even though that picture is not there, right? And you can see it because you've already put that in a picture, right? So, and they say picture tells a lot of stories, right? Yeah, than words. So you want to build that mind map, okay? We're going to have a session on this one, how we can build the mind map. So now, you also need to answer these questions, okay, before the interview, right? Tell me about yourself. So, what are you looking for? So, when they ask you, tell me about yourself. One thing that I want to tell you is that, so this question, even though they do not ask you, you won't actually go for interview without saying it. It might be in a place where they ask you directly about, tell me about yourself, or run your CV with me. Or at the end, to be honest, you want to, because it's all about yourself. So it's very, very important for you to prepare, right? Write something down about telling about yourself, right? When they ask you, tell me about yourself, what are you going to write down? What you need to write this thing down before the interview. So it's very, very important. So, and have like a 2 paragraphs about yourself. Yeah. So one thing I can tell you is like, okay, put it on ChatGPT, right? So about, tell me about yourself. What do you expect to say, right? So So, and it will tell you what you should say, right? So, and so if you just say, tell me about yourself, interview question, right? So, and how to answer them and put it on ChatGPT. So, and yeah, so you will see what you will say anyway. So it's a common question anyway. So you will start with your background, okay? So talk about your background. Who are you? Yeah, your education relevant to this course, okay? And keep it short, keep it concise, focus on what you're looking for. Then also talk about your experience and skill, okay? So it's very, very important when you are doing so, you also talk about your achievements on the job, okay? In relation to the roles that you're applying for, okay? Then you talk about how your role and your experience connects to this particular role that you are looking for, all right? So, and on, yeah, you also end on a positive note, like, oh, so you are this person, you are ready for to contribute to the organization, and you also want to know what it entails as well. That's where you are here. So it's very, very important. So for you to, yeah, prepare for this right at the end. So yeah, for instance, I'll be happy. Uh, Sure, I'll be happy to. So why don't you say, tell me about yourself? Yeah, currently working with this organization at present at this, yeah, where I do this blah 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 blah. Before then, all I was at this particular company, and this was why I created this, I did that. Okay. And yeah, throughout my career, I've been able to do this and I've been able to do that. I've also developed skills in this area and on this area. So those are the things that you want to talk about. So, yeah, I'm very, very excited about this particular role and opportunity that I'm here interviewing for. So, because it actually fits my background and my profile. And yeah, I'm really, really eager to bring my experience, my skill in this particular tool, in this particular field, even to the team to help you achieve what you're going to achieve. And you also talk about what is in the job spec that they mentioned, right? So yeah, and that's it. So exactly, that's what you need to say in that session. So I would advise you to write one down before that day, okay? And they might also say, run through your CV for me. So those ones will be a bit detailed. Is basically going through your CV. You can decide to go from previous experience to the latest experience, but relating them with this particular role they are asking for. So, and the last thing about the questions about yourself is what are the relevant skills and experience you have for this particular role? All these questions actually they tie together, right? It's the same thing, but you can answer them in different ways. Okay. So yeah, you talk about your career. Yeah, have a good story, right? And I will be talking about a lot of story. So maybe in the session we'll also have the skill of storytelling. Okay. And there's a book I would speak about later, right? It's called Rain, The Rain. So I will speak about that later. So it's all about a storybook actually, but it's based on interview skills and everything that you can use and what the paper boy knows about interview. So I will speak about that one later. So what is your skill or what are you bringing in? What your experience? So that those are the things that you want to speak about. So this is very, very important. Okay. Okay. So it's also very important for you to research about the company as well. So go to the company website, look at what they say on the About Us page. Okay. Look at what they say about their shares, look about their services, look at their products is very, very important. Okay. On the company webpage, you can see all those ones. Also the people and the management as well. So look at them. Who are the people managing it? When was the company formed? What did they do? What are they? Yeah, it's very, very important. So that because when some of them will come and say, what do you know about us? Yeah, and you want to talk about this as well. So, and look at also their social media handles as well. Facebook, Glassdoor, LinkedIn, look at so because for instance, if it is a company that you want to work for, you should have interest in the company. right? If you have interest in the company, that's okay. So that also you want to prove that you've got a genuine interest as well is very, very important. So then also look at reviews that for the company as well. So is there any review, whether positive or negative, for the company? So yeah, company house information as well. That's one thing that you want to talk about. So okay. So another thing that you also want to do also, or research, or you want to prepare also, is the project. Yeah. So for yourself, what project were you involved in before now? You need to write those projects, because throughout the interviews, you might be talking about different projects. They give you some scenarios, you will relate them to the project that you worked on. Nobody wants to hire someone that hasn't got a good story, to be honest. You need to talk, oh, I work with MentorScale. MentorScale is an application that does it, that does that. Okay, within MentorScale, we use these particular tools. You want to talk about the technical stack. Okay, so those are preparation. Okay, that you need to have. Okay, the skills, the tools, the details of the project, have them ready, right? Because also, even during the discussion, you might want to mention that as part of your intro. Tell me about yourself. I work on MentorScale project. It's a very challenging project. It's a multi-million pound project, and it's actually this project was used by mentors to be able to kind of get people that they want to mentor, and they, after that, when they mentor them, they also charge money for funds, and because of that, there's finances attributed on that particular website, on a web application. So I had to also have a payment gateway set up and everything. So all those things you want to say, right? But how can you say that you can prepare, right, and write them down before the day, right? So that you got everything prepared for the before the interview. This is very, very important. Okay. Technical stack also, even though you are not technical, ask the developers, what's it developed on, what's it on, how do you do this and everything. Do you get to know? That's very, for those guys coming in or into the internship, and those guys in advance. So we're going to also start another project, right, which is really interesting for me as well. So it's going to be SharePoint, how to create web application using SharePoint. SharePoint is one of the big tools from Microsoft. Okay, we're going to do that. So this is another technical stack that you can add to your tools to say, oh, I know how to use SharePoint. I know, yeah. And I've not only using, or I've built a SharePoint portal by myself or by the team, and I've tested it as well. So that's another thing that is coming in the next phase anyway, so that we are entering now. So yeah, talk you also may want to talk about your team, how it's been structured and everything. So that's important. Okay, all right. So this is where I'm going to stop today. Okay. When we come back next week, I'm going to talk about scenarios, questions, the act of storytelling, lot of stories. I will also relate it to Hollywood, Bollywood, Nollywood, whatever. Yeah, everyone loves a good story. So then I will also talk about, yeah, those questions that you need to prepare for on the conclusions as well. So in the meantime, let me quickly say, if you can get this particular book, Rain, right? What the Paper Boy Learned About Business, is very, very good. It's a very good, yeah. And I think the last time we had this session, so there's one person that actually sent the PDF of this particular book. So you can Google for the PDF version, right? It's there. It's free. I think it should be free now. So it's a very, very good book. It's not a long, it's a novel anyway, it's a story. So it's easy to read, I would say, but you will learn a lot from there, how to prepare for interview, how to organize yourself before and after, and also during the interview. Is very, very good. So we're going to talk about this later anyway. So yeah, get this book. Okay. All right. Before I leave, any question from anyone? Any question? Okay. All right. If there is no, hold on. Okay. All right. If there's no question, I'm going to stop for now. So, okay. Can